Hello, and welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4. The legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal, Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. I would like to take this moment to tell you folks thank you for joining me here on Ralph Reads, and to please tell a friend to like, share, comment, and subscribe to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Today on Ralph Reads, I present the finale of the Sister Souljah miniseries, The Coldest Winter Ever. Relax your mind as we waste no more time. Let the reading commence. Chapter 18.
The next day I was perched in the window at Bullet's 6th floor apartment. It was as though I was sitting on top of the hood. I could see everyone as I peeked through the blankets he used for curtains, but no one could see me. Bullet got out early that morning. He left me the keys for the house, but I don't know why he bothered. I wasn't going anywhere until he got back. Bullet shot through the door when darkness fell. I was so vexed there was no reason to speak, not to mention that with nothing in his refrigerator, I was starving. Ignoring my attitude, he glided across the floor, slapped me on my ass, and said,
"Hey, I got something for you."
When I didn't respond, he threw the money on the bed. Wrapped in rubber bands, there were 3 stacks of bills. 2 of the thickest stacks were all hundreds. 1 of the stacks were all 50s. Picking up each stack individually and flicking them from the top bill down to the bottom bill, I arrived at an estimate the way Daddy taught me to do. I figured there was about $20,000 here. "Where the fuck did you get this?" I asked, knowing full well that no crackheads were walking around with large bills.
I'm a businessman, baby. I told you I make moves. Leather sofas and color TVs cost money.
He smiled so sweet, I forgave him instantly. Sensing he broke through my wall of anger, he jumped on top of me and started kissing me all over my face.
"Yeah, I know how to make it hot for you,"
his rough, conceited ass said, and I loved it. After I got all excited about the loot, I noticed he packed it all away as if he had never thrown it at me. First thing the next morning, his man pulled Bullet's Lex around the corner. Handing Bullet its keys, he was so busy staring at me in my fine winter wool Benetton mini dress and matching jacket that he missed Bullet's hand and dropped his keys in the street. As he bent down to get the keys, Bullet slapped him in the head on the way up. The next man, Bones, who was in the passenger seat, laughed that he got chumped, but Bones was staring at me too. I peeped that. We rode into the city in bumper-to-bumper traffic. I convinced Bullet that it would be easier for him to let me get the newspapers from the stand and travel to the apartments for rent by train. He paused before he agreed and looked into my eyes like he expected to find something. He handed me a stack of dough, then snatched it back before my fingers closed.
"Just beat me when you find something. I'll meet you with the money."
"Yeah," I said dryly. "This nigga just can't relax." It was almost 6 p.m. when I found the place. Instead of overlooking the river, it overlooked the FDR highway that was beside the river. It was located on the east side in the 30s block. There was a doorman, but no butler. The place was spacious with large windows. I knew I could freak the layout with all kinds of designs. The important factor was that the greedy man renting the apartment was easy to work with. He was the first landlord I met who understood to mind his business. He wanted cash. I wanted the keys. I figured he needed the loot to feed a nasty cocaine habit. He sniffed all the way through the 12-minute interview. Besides, the tip of his nostrils was eaten away from the drug. I had seen that effect before. Now, when he started babbling about how I could pick up the keys next week, he had to have the apartment clean. I threw him another $300 to get the keys on the spot. He grimaced when I told him I needed 1 hour for my boyfriend to bring me all the dough. I don't know if he was mad that he had to wait 60 minutes or mad that I had a man. Magazines were spread out all over the living room floor in the big empty apartment. I took my time reviewing each magazine design ad. Selecting an item from each ad I admired, I pieced together a collage of a 1-bedroom apartment that was perfect for me. Bullet, who was out concentrating on what he described as the biggest move of his lifetime, had agreed that whatever I wanted was good for him. His only request was for me to leave the huge walk-in closet for his private use. Initially, I was cool with the amount of time he spent away from home. Decorating was taking up all of my energy anyhow. But Bullet was slowing down my decorating with his lack of trust. Every time I wanted to purchase something, I had to wait for him to have free time to go with me to each store so he could pay the cashier directly. It was clear to me that he wasn't going to let my hands feel no dough. Half the time, I had to go to each individual store to locate whatever item I wanted. I'd keep the items on a shopping list. At the miraculous moment when Bullet had a few hours available, we'd pick up each thing I wanted one by one. I tried having pieces of furniture delivered. I even had to schedule that around Bullet, who didn't want
no delivery man sliding around my crib while I'm not home.
He even conveniently struck up a relationship with the doorman, passing him 20s and 50s for whatever favor he needed. After a while, I started to think one of the doorman's assignments was to watch me come and go. I figured it would only be a matter of time before Bullet would see that I was down for whatever. Not only could I decorate the joint and order up delicious dinners for 2, but I'm a businesswoman who should easily be at least half of the team. But I was swift. Daddy taught me how to think my way through and work around certain people to achieve the same results. The first thing I did was lease the apartment in my name. He handed the money to the designated person in each transaction, but I signed off every time. As soon as we moved in, I filled out all my credit card applications and mailed them away. One day, soon, I'd get 1 or 2 cards in the mail and use them to walk out of the store with whatever I selected. If Bullet took too long to include me in his business plans or left me at home with too much time to think, I could easily see myself cooking up my own little hustle. He must have been reading my mind. More than a month had passed. I completed my decorating project and had the place looking picture perfect. No one could front. Our spot was fatter than the designs in the magazine ads. Not only was everything top quality, it was elegant. A smart use of the space, and had flavor and attitude. I was sitting on the white leather sofa listening to a little Mary J. Blige when his key slid in the front door earlier than usual. Busting in with speed and urgency, he picked me up and spun me around. "What got you all gassed up?" I quipped.
"I'm almost there. Everything is good, trust me."
With my face close to his face, I responded, "Should I trust you like you trust me?" He busted out a smile.
"Ha, smart tongue. Get dressed. We going to a party."
He flung open my closet and said,
"It's a triple date. You got to look your best. Here."
He flung a box onto the sofa. Excited like I used to be when I was just a little girl, I ripped open the wrapping paper and pulled out a brand new diamond bezel lady Rolex. I started jumping up and down until I pounced right on top of him. "Thank you, Daddy."
"What did you call me?"
he asked, looking at me with surprise. I said, "Thanks, baby. This is the shit right here." The dinner spot was the meetup point. After all, we agreed not to bring anybody from the old neighborhood to our new apartment. That meant nobody would know where we rest, which is how it should be. The spot was called Houston's. Dimly lit, it was a restaurant on the down low. As we sat parked outside of the place, a black Benz pulled up behind us and a blue Lamborghini Jeep behind that. As I watched through the rearview mirror, I asked Bullet, "Are there girlfriends anybody I know?"
"I doubt it,"
he responded.
"You know what to do. Don't talk too much."
"Is this business or pleasure?" I asked, sensing something.
For you, it's all pleasure.
They were already seated when we stepped up. We slid into the big semicircle booth, and Bullet introduced everyone. Right away, a bottle of Cristal was brought to the table. I was kinda happy to meet Tiffany and Iris. It had been a long time since I kicked it with any female friends. I wasn't under the illusion that we was girls or anything, but it was important to me to hang out with females who had their own loot, so I wouldn't have to deal with no jealousy and no funny business. It was obvious that at least for tonight, they were rolling with 2 fat cats as well. After the order was placed, all 3 of the men politely excused themselves and left the table. We were left looking at each other. It seemed like nobody wanted to say nothing. So I'm the party starter, I thought to myself.
So, where y'all from?
I'm from D.C., Tiffany said.
Me? I'm from Virginia,
Iris said. The way Iris hesitated, I assumed she was lying. How about you? Tiffany asked me.
I'm from Long Island.
Lifting the bottle, I said,
Well, we might as well drink this. They bought it for us.
We sat there and drank the whole bottle together. Then everything loosened up.
I like that dress, girl. Where did you get it? That shit is banging,
Iris said to me. I knew for sure she was from out of town, 'cause if she was from Brooklyn, she would have never gave the compliment. Moreover, she definitely wouldn't have played herself by asking where did I get it from.
Thanks.
How many pieces you got in your head?
What?
Your hair.
Oh, this is all me,
I said, gesturing by pulling my hair. They both started laughing. Yeah, we all use that same line. It looks nice, though.
Which one of y'all was riding in that Lamborghini, I asked.
Me, Tiffany said.
Is that shit comfortable?
It's a lot of space in there to do whatever you want to do. It's like an army truck. Roland told me if someone was shooting at us, the bullets couldn't even get inside.
That's bullshit,
Iris said. When the food came, Iris pushed her plate away.
I already ate. I'm not hungry.
Tiffany dipped 2 fries in the ketchup and said, That's it for me. Searching through her oversized MCM pocketbook, she finally found her lipstick. Let's go to the bathroom. I moved to let him out. Then I continued to sit there. Tiffany called to me and gestured, Come on. I looked around the restaurant. I saw Bullet standing in between the bar and the window, talking. He saw me looking but didn't say nothing.
I guess it'll be alright,
I thought, so I got up and went with them. Iris, your titties is coming out of that bra. Tiffany helped her to adjust the straps. Everybody was touching up their hair, looking in the bathroom mirror. Iris was smoking a cigarette. Then Tiffany picked up my pocketbook. I noticed she left her bag on the sink.
Tiffany, you got the wrong bag,
I told her, but she kept walking toward the door.
That's your bag right there,
Iris said to me, pointing to the MCM bag.
What the fuck?
I rushed Tiffany, grabbing my bag by the strap. Iris pulled out a 9 and pointed it directly at me. Both the wind and the words left my mouth. I couldn't talk.
Take that bag. It's for your man. Don't blow it.
Somebody should have put you up on it in advance. They bounced. In the bag, I found several guns and a small bag of coke. I'm not dumb, so I caught on. I tore a small hole in the bag and tasted it. It was the real thing. I closed it and stepped out. When I walked out, Bullet, Bryce, and Roland were seated at the table laughing and talking like they were best friends. They had started to eat their food, each of them. Tiffany and Iris had slid themselves back in the booth. Bryce asked,
Ladies, is everything okay?
My eyes shot over to Bullet. Our eyes locked into one another. He nodded slightly.
It's all good, baby. Sit down.
Now I'm thinking,
no, it's not all good. This fucking bag doesn't match my dress. Nobody in Brooklyn rocks MCM anymore.
Somebody needed to tell those down south hoes that I wanted to be in on the business. But I didn't like being the only one who didn't know what the fuck was going on. We continued to sit casually for 5 more minutes. Money on the table, a tip to the waiter, phony hugs and kisses, and we were out. When we got outside in the cool, crisp air, I thought I seen the feds milling around across the street. I recognized their whole style from the takeover of my house. Now that I understood what was going on, I could view the entire scenario clearly. With his arm draped around me, Bullet kissed my cheek and whispered in my ear,
"Drive the car home. Put the bag in my closet."
He gave me a deep tongue kiss like natural while passing his keys into my hand. I walked to the car with no sign of strangeness. I started it up and pulled out slowly. When I waved goodbye, Bullet was standing talking to Bryce and Roland. The feds were focused on the men. I slipped right by. An hour later, Bullet walked in all smiles with his arms extended wide.
"Sexy, you did it!"
Without raising up from the couch where I was seated, fully dressed with my shoes kicked off in front of me, I said,
I thought we were going to a party.
He picked up his keys. By now, he was inside the walk-in closet, checking behind me as usual. 3 minutes later, he came out with work tools in his hands. He talked to me while he put a new lock on the walk-in closet door.
"We are going to a party. Give me 5 minutes."
Oh, you ain't gonna say nothing, nigga?
"Nothing about what?"
That little scene an hour ago.
"You said you wanted to be in. Now you're in."
Why didn't you put me up on what was going on?
"'Cause the key to success is to be natural. Everything was easy. Nobody acting strange or unusual. Them fucking feds can smell you when you're nervous."
He didn't want to talk about it in the crib. He didn't want to talk about it in the car either. We picked up his man and another dude named Moose. We rode to the club with the music blasting Real Love, Mary J. Blige. I love that old school. We pulled around the back of the club. His man switched into the driver's seat and me, Bullet, and Moose walked through the back door straight into the VIP section.
Whose party is this?
I asked, but I was drowned out by the music, noise, and excitement that surrounded us. Everybody in the place knew Bullet. It wasn't like cats was excited to see him. It was like a respect thing. They acknowledged him quietly, said a few words in low tones, gave him pounds and hugs, but nobody got in his way, asked him for the VIP passes or identification or shit like that. Moose had Bullet's back so close you'd think them niggas was joined at the hip. When Bullet wasn't giving somebody a pound, his hand could be found right on my waist, resting lightly on the top of my ass. We found a small table in the corner in the dark. After ordering drinks, Bullet relaxed a little and began to talk to me the way he felt comfortable in the crowded room, with the music at the high point and Moose with his back to him facing the crowd like a gigantic black stop sign.
"Winter, you did good. I knew you could. I've been checking your flow. I like the way you think, the way you move."
So what does that mean?
"What do you mean, what does that mean? I'm giving you a fucking compliment."
How much was it worth?
"How much was what worth?"
The guns and the powder. What? $250,000, a half?
"You see, you getting ahead of yourself now. I did the setup tonight for you, to get you accustomed to shit. I could have pulled it off without you. I have plenty of times. You think you could just walk into this cold? You can't. They'll see you coming like a neon purple light bulb. You gotta work your way into this shit slowly. You gotta feel everybody you dealing with. You gotta feel yourself. It could be the littlest shit that gives you away. A itch on your nose, or tapping your feet and fingers too much, or the way your eyes move. If you do the shit enough, then you can give the appearance of being comfortable, at ease. Then you're natural at it instead of looking, smelling, and walking like a suspect."
I ain't new to this, Bullet.
I said with mad attitude.
"You wasn't a player on your father's team, Winter. You think street smarts is inherited?"
He laughed. Just when I opened my mouth to say something back, Moose turned and tapped Bullet. His attention was drawn away. Now I was waiting for him to finish talking to some dude. I was thinking at the same time that I just wanted to get my hands on some loot. Not for no specific reason, except I didn't like him keeping me with no more than $20 in my pocket and a few train tokens. I wasn't asking for a cut of his product or profit. Just a few $100, maybe 1,000 in my pocket so I could feel good. Aight, Bullet. I'm willing to work my way in.
I ain't no slouch or nothing.
I reassured him.
"Oh, for a minute I thought you was unhappy. Don't your man get you everything you need? Don't I keep your hands heavy?"
He asked, pointing out my new Rolex.
Don't I keep the roof of your choice over your head? Name one thing you wanted that I didn't get for you.
My father's address, I said softly.
Damn, Winter. What you need? What the fuck you need that I didn't get for you? What do you want? I'll get it for you.
It was that second I wised up. I would never mention Santiago to Bullet again. For some reason that I wasn't getting, it was like asking about Daddy was an insult to him. Now I would have to get to my father on my own. I wasn't trading my own smarts for Bullets. I could find my pops and stay on point with Bullet. I'd watch for an opening to pull it off, but this was exactly why I needed some cash flow. The wackest thing about celebrity parties is you're locked in the VIP section where nobody dances. The live party goes on outside of the VIP room. But Bullet had business in there. I should have known this wasn't no fucking date we were on. By the time we was leaving, I felt stressed. Usually when I'm partying, I ain't feeling no pain. It was going out the back door that shit went crazy. I was walking close, but slightly in front of Bullet. Bullet was directly in front of Moose, who had his back. Some fool came walking up to me. Within seconds, I recognized him as the bodyguard who drove me home from GS's mansion.
What up, Sasha?
He was directly in front of me, so I stopped walking. Besides, he was about 6'2", much taller than me and built.
Do I know you?
I said in a cold, flat voice. I played it off. Bullet, who was only 6 feet tall, put his hand on the cat and pushed him out of my path.
You got the wrong girl, nigga. Move on.
Bullet threatened.
Sasha,
he said again, feeling himself and testing Bullet.
You don't remember me from GS's?
My fucking name ain't Sasha!
I tried to cut him with my words.
Money, I told you, move on,
Bullet said with death in his eyes. Bullet's leather jacket swung open, revealing his arsenal. Moose stepped in and said,
Here, let me talk to you a minute,
pulling the bodyguard to the side. Meanwhile, Bullet's man pulled up. Me and Bullet got in the car. Bullet gave his man the order. He parked on the opposite curb of the back entrance. I asked,
What are we waiting for?
Bullet, still heated, didn't answer. Bullet got out the car and signaled somebody. Next thing I know, he's outside talking to GS. Through the tinted windows, I'm watching. Bullet's back was to me. I could see directly into GS's face. It didn't look like an argument. It looked like a friendly, casual conversation. Then Bullet's knuckles was knocking on the window. I pushed the button. The window came down.
Winter!
Slowly, I stuck my head out the window.
I want you to meet my man GS.
Without smiling or nothing, I said, Nice to meet you, and pulled my head back inside. I heard Bullet say,
Yeah, that's my girl. You never seen her before, have you? Never, man,
GS replied. I sighed relief. I don't know why GS covered for me, or maybe he was just protecting his own ass. There was no way he had forgotten me. I knew then that Bullet was the man. He wasn't taking no shorts, and I got to dig him for that. Moose never got back in the car that night. We dropped Bullet's man and went home. Focusing on food was never my thing. As I listened to my stomach growl the next morning, I felt a desire to eat. As I held the refrigerator door open, I couldn't decide on what I wanted. My hunger turned to nausea. My nausea turned to vomit. After hurling in the toilet, I laid on the bed, staring at the ceiling with a nasty taste in my mouth. 7 minutes of silence, then panic settled in. Immediately, I began pacing the bedroom floor. I ran into the kitchen to pull out the calendar the Chinese takeout guy slid under the door. Frantically, I tried to remember the date of my last period. The problem was the numbers on the calendar didn't mean nothing to me. I couldn't even match certain incidents with corresponding dates. When I actually thought about it harder, I tried to remember the last time I bought tampons. Lachey's face popped in my head. I remembered charging her $2 for one back at the House of Success. But I had blacked all that bullshit out. In jeans, with a pajama top under my jacket, I walked to the closest pharmacy and purchased a pregnancy test. Back in the bathroom, I zoomed through the directions. Placing the small cup underneath myself, I pissed on my fingers while trying to hold it. Then I pissed on the toilet. Then I pissed on the floor. Therefore, my little cup only had a droplet of piss in it. I turned on the water faucet to make myself able to pee again. I waited a half an hour and finally was able to deliver half a cup. While I waited for the little plus or minus sign to show up, I smoked a joint to calm my nerves. 3 minutes to doomsday. It turned out positive. I was pregnant. The only thing to do now was get rid of it. After a short while, I remember hearing an abortion jingle on the radio. I couldn't recall exactly how the commercial went, but I knew if I tuned in, within minutes, the ad would come on. When I called, they gave me the location of the nearest clinic. A quick shower, I was dressed and on my way. It was a cloudy morning. Girls were jammed like sardines into the clinic. As I surveyed the room, it wasn't hard to figure the girls whose stomachs were not poking out yet were sure to abort after looking at the obviously pregnant idiots who decided to keep their babies. One big pregnant girl had dark purple circles underneath her eyes. I saw stretch marks on knees, arms, titty tops, and even on her elbow. Some girls were balding from their condition. I even saw swollen hands, noses, and feet. One girl's ankles were so fat, it looked like elephantitis. She had her big tree trunk legs propped up on not one, but 2 chairs. Meanwhile, others didn't even have nowhere to sit. Now I'm steady counting who came in first, next, and next, and next, and next, and so on. I wanted to get this over with before Bullet came home that night. The girl seated next to me leaned over to ask,
Are you nervous?
Nah, I said, keeping it brief, not wanting to invite her into conversation.
Then why are you shaking your foot like that and bumping against my chair?
As I checked myself, I realized I was tapping my foot. I got control of it immediately. I was nervous the first time I got an abortion. It turned out it didn't hurt though. It was like 1, 2, 3, over. The girl was still talking. I didn't say nothing in response to her, but I was glad to hear once again that having an abortion doesn't hurt. Back in the day, my girls told me the same thing. Yep, I couldn't believe this girl was gonna keep on going in the conversation without participation from me.
This is my 5th one. I really can't get into creams. That shit make me itch. Them pills make me sick. Can't feel shit with a condom. It's easier this way. It works pretty good too. I only get knocked about once a year. Yeah, it must be expensive, I said, allowing her to pull me in. Girl. She went into her pocket and pulled out a Medicaid card. I got an abortion credit card. In the examination room, the doctor grilled me.
Do you have a private physician?
No.
When was the last time you had a gynecological exam?
This is my first time. Why? Do you have a problem with that? I asked the doctor.
I'm asking the questions, young lady.
The Indian doctor with the dot said.
When was your last period?
I don't remember.
Try to remember.
I can't remember.
When it was all said and done, I was 3 months pregnant or more.
What do you want to do?
I want to get rid of it now. Give me the abortion.
Nope, not so fast. Have you given this any thought? There are options to consider.
Look, on your commercials you said it's a lady's choice, right? You do abortions? Now get it out.
The doctor got up from the chair with the wheels on it, back toward me. I'm like, this bitch is crazy. Like this is personal.
See the nurse on your way out? She'll give you an appointment for your termination. If you wait too long, this can get real messy.
What's wrong with now?
There's another doctor who performs the procedure. You'll have to schedule it with the nurse now.
I went right away to the nurse. It only took me 2 minutes of talking to convince her that I needed to be scheduled to abort tomorrow.
You wouldn't want to be responsible for pushing me over the 3-month line now, would you?
I challenged her. Back at the apartment, I was seated at the kitchen table. Rapid picture frames flashed through my head. I traced the baby back to Boom. It was either him or GS's asshole bodyguard. I wished it was Bullets. I knew it wasn't because I was too far along. I remember the first time me and him fucked because it was on my birthday. Images merged as I made comparisons in my head. Boom has silky hair. Bullet has naps in the Caesar cut. Boom was yellow. Bullet is brown. Boom has hazel eyes. Bullet has brown eyes. If it was Bullet's baby, he would marry me, give me the whole world, the whole 9 yards. But it's Boom's or the other guy's. There was no way to be sure. I couldn't front it off, so I'd get it scraped out first thing tomorrow.
What you been doing all day?
Bullet's suspicious ass asked. Nothing.
Did you go out?
No.
How come you didn't pick up the phone when I called?
I was probably at the incinerator emptying the garbage. Why didn't you page me? You usually page me.
I turned it around on him.
I did page you,
he said, staring dead in my eyes.
I didn't get no beep.
Then you must have been on the subway. That's the only way you didn't get my beep.
I got up, pulled my pager off my side and said,
"Oh damn, I need a new battery."
Bullet spent the rest of the night in the walk-in closet with the door closed and locked. The 11 a.m. train to the clinic was packed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about what was about to happen. I mean, Bullet didn't come to bed before I went to sleep. Even though this gave me the opportunity to clip 300 from his coat, which he left draped over the chair, I was nervous. He didn't kiss me before he left. I didn't even hear him make a sound before he bounced. Would I be able to conceal the abortion without leaving a clue? These thoughts converted into new thoughts when my eyes caught the front page of the New York Daily News. The man in the trench coat sitting right in front of me was reading the paper. He had it held up with both hands in front of his face. It wasn't the headline or the big picture in front. It was a bold line typed across the top of the paper. Rap star bodyguard found dead. My eyes locked in on the sentence. I read it over and over again. Immediately, I got up. I started walking slowly through the moving packed train car, looking left to right. I knew someone would have left the Daily News on the train after being done with it. When the train paused for a stop, some people got out. That's when I got my hands on the paper. As I suspected, there was the face of the asshole from the other night, Tony, GS's bodyguard. It was a picture I guess came from his high school days. He looked younger with a big doofy smile. His full name was written underneath the photo. I never knew his last name was Creighton.
Rap star, GS lost friend and bodyguard, Tony Creighton, 22, who was gunned down with 3 bullets to the head. Police don't yet know the time of the incident. The body was discovered yesterday afternoon in the vacant lot located on...
Then they had the mother of the bodyguard saying he was such a good boy. He volunteered to feed the homeless on the holidays, blah, blah, blah. People were always talking shit like that after somebody dies. Everybody gets together and starts lying about how a motherfucker was all this or that. He wasn't no saint when his ass was laying up in that bed pretending to be GS that night. Fuck him! I was only concerned about one thing, myself. This abortion shit had to go smooth. I didn't want Bullet coming after me. I could get this behind me. It wasn't like I cheated on Bullet or nothing. This happened before me and him hooked up, but it didn't matter. I knew that. I just needed to get rid of it and give him no reason to suspect me of nothing. I mean, me and Bullet just clicked together. We were thick like that, business and lovers. As soon as I got to the clinic, the nurse started asking me stupid questions. Did you come here alone?
Yeah? Why, you got a problem with that?
Did you drive or take public transportation?
Why?
Answer the questions, please, miss. I took the train. Okay, you'll need to take this pill. She handed me a big pill with one of those small white paper cups, the kind that are only good for one drink before they crumble. Once the procedure is completed, you'll probably feel disoriented. You cannot drive a car. You should really have a companion with you in case you don't feel well and need assistance getting home. Is there anyone you can call to pick you up?
Yeah, I have a ride coming for me.
I lied. She would read my chart, then look back at me. Good. You're 18. You'll need to sign these papers. After they got my promise not to sue if they accidentally killed me on the operating table, I gave them $300. The doctor came in. He held my hand while someone else gave me an injection.
You may taste a salty solution in your mouth. It's okay.
Then the machine roared. It sounded like a vacuum cleaner. What seemed like only minutes later, the machine stopped. In my head, I heard the voice of the girl from the waiting room yesterday. 1, 2, 3, over. First, everyone left the room. The nurse came in and began stuffing big pads in my middle, the kind I would never choose to wear, like diapers or something. This is to absorb the bleeding. If the heavy bleeding doesn't stop by tomorrow evening, call us immediately. But you should continue to have bloody spots. She handed me another pill and a paper cup. This is to help stop infection. She handed me a small white envelope with 6 more pills in it. Take them 3 times a day for 2 days. Do not bathe. Do not engage in sexual activity for the next 4 weeks to avoid infection. You need time to heal. She left me alone in the small room. I was fine until I got down from the table to stand up. The stuff in the room was moving around like I was in space. It was hard for me to stand straight. I looked at my Rolex, and the numbers started to float off the face. The nurse busted back into the room as I was crouched over, trying to pull my pants up. Let me help you. Do you feel dizzy? Yes. This happens to some people. You don't need to worry. You will need to lie down. Has someone arrived to pick you up yet? No. Just as I thought. She escorted me to a different small room with a small basic bed. She helped me to lie down. Without notice, I slept. About 2 hours later, I felt a hand on my shoulder. You can go now. It should be okay. We need to use this bed for another patient right now. I felt much better. Everything was steady. I headed home.
Chapter 19.
At the apartment, I ate, then slept. When I woke up, I left out to go to the drugstore. I bought some pads for heavy-duty flow. I cleaned everything up. I checked and rechecked to make sure the apartment had no trace of nothing that happened today or yesterday. As I sat at the kitchen table, I felt down low. I didn't know why. It was like something was pulling me down, making me feel deep depression. It was something I couldn't control. The lower I felt, the more I thought of Daddy. The more I thought of Daddy, the lower I felt. Tears started running down my face. I picked up the telephone. Excuse me, can I have the number for Rikers Island? Thank you. Prisoner information, please. Yes, my father, Ricky Santiago, was incarcerated at your facility almost a year ago. I came to visit him and was told he was shipped out. Is there any way I can find out where they sent him? No, I don't remember his prison number. Yes, hold on. He's on Rikers Island? But the corrections officer told me they moved him out. Oh, they moved him to another building. 23-hour lockup. Can he have visitors? Non-contact twice a week for 1 hour only. Tomorrow. I couldn't believe it. My pops was at Rikers Island all along. The fucking fake cop lied to me. Bullet knew. I knew he knew. The problem is, he didn't want me to know. I said I would find out myself. I will visit Daddy tomorrow. Nothing and nobody would stop me. Bullet came through the door quietly that night. I was up. How you doing, baby? I greeted him with a hug.
Joey said you went out yesterday for 3 hours.
Joey who?
Downstairs, the doorman.
You know his name. Why is he all in my business?
Where were you?
Bullet asked, looking dead into my eyes. I went shopping.
What did you buy?
I didn't see nothing I liked.
Are you lying to me? I told you to never lie to me.
I went window shopping. It wasn't nothing. I was going to ask you for some money. I just went to look at a few things.
Why did you say you didn't go out?
He asked. I don't know. It was stupid. I don't know. It won't happen again. I couldn't arrange my words fast enough. Bullet had me all off guard.
What won't happen again? You won't go out again?
No. I'm saying I'll let you know if I am going out and where I'm going. A dick suck cures everything, so I unfastened Bullet's belt, dropped down on my knees, and went to work. I centered myself so he could see my lips sucking and pulling, so he could see my tongue. He needed to know he was the boss. I had no problem with that. When I saw his mouth open wide, a look of pain covered his face, but I knew it was just the ecstasy of him busting in my mouth. He got down on the floor with me and we talked.
Baby, you fucking up my head,
he said in a soft tone, the anger removed from his voice.
When you fuck up my head, you fuck up my business. I can't let nobody fuck up my business.
I ain't doing nothing, Bullet. I swear, it's all about you and me, that's it. You think I'm leaving this good dick alone? You crazy.
He smiled.
This dick is good, ain't it?
It's the best.
Would you die for me?
He asked.
Baby, I'd lie for you, ride for you, die for you. But if I die for you, I couldn't have no more of this good dick.
I laughed, feeding his ego. I needed to shift him off of thinking I did something I didn't do. He rolled on his side with another hard-on. He began to undo my pants.
I'm on my period,
I said, trying not to panic. I bent over to lick his balls again. He pulled my head up and said,
A nigga want pussy. This is my pussy, right?
He questioned. I answered with a nod.
A little blood ain't gonna hurt this big dick.
He was all up in me. How can I describe the feeling? It wasn't pleasure. It wasn't pain. It was nothing like a dick plunging into an ocean. But still, I conjured up some moans for him. I grabbed the Tech 9 out of the small drawer in the dresser next to the bed. It was early morning. There were crazy noises coming out of the living room. If somebody besides Bullet was in there, they was about to catch a bad one. As I yanked open the bedroom door, standing behind it with the Tech, I heard growling. Not human noises, but like an animal. Walking backwards, I stepped away from the door. I heard running, barking, then howling. Then I heard chains buckling. Motherfucking Bullet had 2 Rottweilers in our no pets allowed building. Vicious looking, no nonsense killer dogs with a chain that allowed them to roam the entire length of the living room and kitchen and 2 feet into our bedroom. Bullet! Bullet! Are you home? What the fuck is going on? But he wasn't there. I sat on the bed with the Tech, debating. Them fucking dogs sat and stared as if all they needed was one miracle to pop the chain and eat my ass alive. I used the bedroom phone to page Bullet. Minutes later, he called back.
What up, baby? Talk fast.
What's up with these motherfucking dogs?
My bitches.
Yeah, your bitches.
Them some loyal bitches. They do whatever I tell them to do. I tell them to sit, they sit. I tell them to stay, they stay. Are you loyal, Winter?
You're goddamn right I'm loyal, and I'm ready to blast your bitches to pieces.
That will be dumb. You would draw attention to yourself. Cops, neighbors, the whole 9.
The barking dogs is gonna draw attention, I tried to reason with him.
If you don't bother them, they won't bark. Just close the bedroom door and stay put.
You crazy, I told him without hostility.
Yeah, your pussy smelled funny yesterday.
Click. He hung up. I was vexed that I couldn't get out to see Pops. If I missed the 1-hour visit today, I won't be able to visit for another 4 days. By evening time, that was the least of my worries. I couldn't leave the bedroom, so I couldn't eat. All I had was a bag of Lorna Doone cookies that Bullet had been eating in our bedroom last night. The hungrier I got, the hungrier the dogs got. By midnight, they were growling, and so was I. My stomach was roaring, and the pills that the nurse had given me was wrecking me on a damn near empty belly. That night, Bullet never came in. In the morning, I paged him, but he didn't call back. My mouth was so dry from the Lorna Doone cookies, I started drinking tap water out of the bathroom in our bedroom. For 2 nights and 3 mornings, I was held hostage by the dogs. Finally, Bullet came in with somebody else. I could hear them talking. I listened as he fed the dogs before feeding me. He didn't even open the bedroom door to look in on me first. I wasn't going to open the bedroom door. I was too mad and too weak. A half hour later, the bedroom door opened. He stood in the entrance with a big smile, the same smile that I found so seductive.
Where are those dogs?
Was the first question I asked.
I sent Joey to walk 'em.
What was Joey doing up here?
Somebody had to clean up the dog shit.
I'm hungry, I mumbled.
Oh, so you remember who feeds you.
I never forgot.
Good.
Bullet carried me off the bed and into the kitchen. He had 2 big breakfast takeout orders ready for me and a large container of orange juice. I ate without a word.
Get dressed. Take a walk with me,
Bullet demanded. As I was learning not to resist him, I followed his instructions. When we reached the lobby, Bullet untied the killer Rottweilers from the outside black gate where the frightened but greedy doorman, Joey, watched from a distance. We walked with the dogs who, in Bullet's presence, somehow turned friendly, 2-faced bitches.
I gotta make a run. I'm taking you with me.
I smiled because I like to travel, but then I thought about my father and how it's been too long since I've seen him.
That's right. If I leave you here, I don't know what you'll get into. I know if I was the next nigga, I'd be willing to die trying to talk to your fine ass. Now I could leave you with the dogs,
he said, petting them like they were pups.
But I get the feeling you don't like them. You know I got a kennel full of these bitches. They sell for $850 each. I train them in the basement in Brooklyn. They sell like crack. They just cost more.
I thought you was gonna bounce from Brooklyn, I reminded him.
I am. But I'm gonna flow from there real natural. Nobody's gonna notice. I'll just get in my car one day and pull away from the curb and never come back. No moving trucks, nothing. No one will know the difference for a while.
I'm sure there'll be some hoes left crying at the curb when you leave, I teased.
I don't fuck with them low-class bitches. They all ran through. All your girls is fucked up, fucked in, fucked out.
He laughed.
Brooklyn got new hoes coming up. Now all the old bitches are fighting them.
Whatever. So where we traveling to? I asked.
Baltimore. What you know about that?
He said, peering into my eyes again. Not a goddamn thing.
Then why you had a bus ticket to Maryland in your coat pocket when I first picked you up?
Damn, I forgot all about that I had that ticket. As you can see, I never went.
Where were you going?
I don't know. Nowhere, I lied.
Why you be lying so much, Winter?
What? I stalled to arrange my defense in my own head.
You was probably gonna check that nigga Midnight from Santiago's crew.
He was talking casually and exploding bombs all at the same time. How you figure that? I played it off.
Don't play dumb. I never forget a face. It could cost me my life. I never liked that cat. He was too quiet. Never knew what he was thinking. I watched how he moved. When Santiago's empire started crumbling, that cat just started scaling his shit down. I know some cats who ran up in his spot. They said that nigga didn't have nothing. Just a mattress on the floor, a sheet, toothbrush, and a fucking candle. I mean, no jewels in the place, no money, no nothing. Dude didn't even have a phone. It was like he knew they was coming. And the whole team, he was the only one who walks away free and standing. Cat said he was clean, not a fed, not a snitch, nothing. He had to put all that dough he stacked somewhere. Anyway, my niggas down in the Baltimore area keep an eye on him for me. But ain't nothing poppin' with him. He ain't pushing no weight.
Why you telling me this shit? I asked, as if I didn't care.
In case you got any ideas about the trip, that man don't have what it takes to keep you, he warned.
I don't want him.
Yeah, whatever. So check this out. Let me tell you how we gonna do this. A lot of cats roll south in Benzes, Lexus, and BMWs. Rims, music blasting, car full of niggas. They getting pulled over by the cops. Point blank. Police search the car, they end up doing 10, 15, 20 years. We gonna think smart. First, we gonna rent the car. You get it with your credit card.
I don't have no credit card.
Yeah, you do. It came in the mail for you the other day. I was holding it for you. We'll play the part. I'll dress up, slacks, shoes, dress shirt. You'll rock a conservative dress. We'll play something on the radio like Light FM, some shit.
What difference does it make what station plays?
I could swear the fucking police got some kind of nigga radar. If they hear you pumping hip-hop, you're gonna get pulled over. And if we get pulled over, we'll both tell the same story. We're in a church. We're on our way to a revival. We sing in the choir.
You're fucking crazy, I cracked up.
I'm dead serious. You gotta rehearse the small stuff. They'll catch you on a technicality. I got a bunch of close call stories. I know how this shit works. Are you scared?
I'm not afraid of nothing, I told him the truth.
Good. Keep it natural.
At the apartment, Bullet made a few calls and finalized arrangements. He came out of his walk-in closet with 3 teddy bears. In the bedroom, he told me what to wear. I changed. He got did up like a Sunday school teacher in a suit. Me, him, the dogs, and the teddy bears headed to the car rental spot in his car. At the spot, he pointed out a lady sitting in front with a big pink sweater on. He told me to go in, use my credit card and her driver's license.
She's the driver, you're the payee.
But who the hell is she, and where does she come from?
She's just a chick from around the way who doesn't mind doing a favor for me.
I looked back at him, then looked back at her. She was homely, so I said, okay. He told me to ask for an infant car seat. We rented a LeSabre family car. The rent-a-wreck people were just so happy to have a customer. After a while, I understood why Bullet had involved this chick. She was 26 years old. They had all kinds of discounts for people over 25. It seemed he had thought of everything. She drove the rental out of the place. I hopped back in the Lex. She followed us.
Now where are we going?
Brooklyn. I gotta give the Lex to my man for safekeeping. She's going home. She'll drive the rental to Brooklyn. Me and you, we're gonna drop the dogs. Then we hop in the rental and be out.
Bullet saw how skeptical I looked at going to Brooklyn.
You wanna hold the burner?
He asked. When we get there, I told him. Something wasn't right. You know how you just get that feeling? As we turned onto our old Brooklyn neighborhood block that midday afternoon, it was crowded with fire trucks and emergency vehicles.
Maybe we ought to turn around and come back when the commotion dies down,
I mentioned to Bullet.
It's a 4-hour drive to Baltimore. We gotta make good time,
he said. We pulled up to a parking space. Donna, the chick with the pink sweater, pulled up and parked the rental behind us. She got out and knocked on the driver's side of the car and handed Bullet the rental keys. She stood crouched over at the window like she was expecting something. He stepped out of the car. I was watching that bitch like a hawk. I saw him slide her a yard. Then she bounced. Bullet reached back in the car and grabbed the dogs.
I'll be right back.
He was going to drop the dogs off.
Aren't you forgetting something?
I asked him, looking dead in his eyes.
What?
His face was blank.
Oh, yeah.
He leaned into the car, opened the special compartment, and passed me the .22.
Keep the doors locked,
he ordered. 10 seconds after he left, a white guy in a car pulled up alongside us.
Fire Marshal, you'll have to move this car.
I smiled pleasantly and agreed, yet my stomach was like a butterfly cage. I threw the gun under the driver's seat. Then I opened the door, walked around to the driver's side, used the key in the ignition, and started the car. On exactly the opposite side of the curb, I parked. Through the tinted window, I sat and watched as the courtyard filled up with people filing out of the building. The way everything was positioned on an angle, I couldn't get a view of what was happening, but I saw the smoke. I saw the long water hoses running from the fire truck through the courtyard and toward the building. Now my eye is like a zoom lens. I'm trying to check faces in the crowd so I could be on the offense instead of the defense. Shame and disgust are the only things that could describe my state of mind when I spotted Mama in the crowd. She was wearing purple hot pants in the winter, a red t-shirt, run-over Reeboks, and carrying a dirty yellow crochet bag. She was bumping into people in the crowd, pushing them out of the way the whole time, staring at the ground, looking for loose change or a vial the way crackheads do.
Oh no, I hope she don't come over here,
I thought to myself, but she did. When she saw Bullet's Lex, she scuttled right on over. She knocked on the window. When she didn't get no response, she started mashing her face against the window to see if anyone was inside. By now, I'm curled up like a snail trying to get as close to the floor as possible. When she got to the window on the passenger side and pressed her face against the window, she saw me. "My baby Winter! Is that you? Come out here, girl!" When I didn't move, she demanded like she was in charge. Winter Santiago, this is your mother speaking. Get out of the car. With my legs tired of being jammed, I crawled back into the seat, but wouldn't open the door. Oh, I know. I got something for you. She started digging in the dirty yellow bag. I'm thinking, there ain't shit in that bag I want. Just then, I saw Bullet walking back toward the car. His stride was rhythmic, like a leopard. He looked real important in his suit. He was moving swift, but trying to keep it natural, as he would say. When he recognized my mother, he yelled from a distance, "Hey, move away from the fucking car!" Just then, my mother pulled some dirty envelopes out of her bag. She had a big smile on her face, like she was very pleased with herself. "Winter, these are letters to you from your father. I've been holding them for you. I didn't know if I would ever see you again." I felt a shockwave shoot through my body. At that split second, those letters became the most important thing in my life. Just as Bullet arrived at the door, I jumped out to get the letters.
She don't want that shit!
He swatted my mother to the side like she was a fly.
I want those letters, Bullet. My father wrote those letters to me, and you can't keep me from having them.
He saw the fire in my eyes. "Bullet, what have you got for me? What you got for me?" My mother hopped around like a 3-year-old, waiting on a lollipop.
"I don't got nothing for you,"
he growled at her while steadily looking in my eyes. "Come on, Bullet. We friends. We friends. Tell Winter we friends," Mama said.
"Give me the letters."
I stepped up and extended my hand to my mother. She pulled her arm, securing the letters behind her back, teasing me. "You want the letters? She wants the letters. What y'all got for me? You look good, Winter. You look like you got a whole lot of money. Do you owe me some money? What you got for me?" my mother sang. I lunged at her. She fell on the ground. I fell on top of her. I grabbed the envelopes out of her weak fingers, clenched into a fist. Bullet lifted my body off the ground and into the air.
"Go get in the rental."
From the look on his face, I knew to follow his instructions. I didn't care, 'cause I had the letters. He threw a $10 bill on the ground and told Mama,
"Go get what you need somewhere else."
She picked it up and disappeared as fast as she came. Bullet placed the teddy bears in the back seat of the rental next to the infant car seat.
"Don't fucking move,"
he threatened me. I saw him signal to his man, who was standing on the car watching the firefighters put out the fire. His man got in the driver's side of the Lex. Bullet leaned in the passenger door. He put all his guns from the compartment in the carry bag. He walked back and threw the bag in the trunk of the rental. As he returned to the driver's side of the rental, I asked him,
"Did you get the 22? It's under the driver's seat in your car."
His man was pulling off. Bullet trotted in his church suit behind the car to catch up with him.
"Yo, hold up. Hold up, man."
I didn't even have time to turn my head a little bit. A brick came crashing through the window of the passenger side of the rental.
"You stupid fucking bitch! You had the nerve to bring your ass back around here?"
The car door swung open. Simone charged in. With her heavy hands around my neck, her weight was holding me down on the front seat. I started throwing mad punches, swinging at her face, punching her in the eyes to get her off balance. The car was rocking. People started gathering around the car, cheering. I could hear people walking on top of the car roof, the whole nine. Me and Simone were still thumping. I bit her. She tore open the top of my dress. Next thing I know, we both fell out of the car into the street. We was wrestling. I was using my knee to kick her in the belly. Laid out on the ground, she reached her big arm toward the gutter and grabbed the dirty bottle. I tried to shake it out of her hand, but she was a big buffalo. She broke the bottle. I caught flashes of the faces in the crowd that now had us pinned in. I saw nasty little Natalie standing there, egging Simone on.
"Cut the bitch! Cut her!"
she called out. Simone kept coming at me. I was lighter on my feet, so I ducked and dodged. For a second, I looked up, 'cause I saw a Bullet coming through the crowd with the gun in his hand. Just seeing him got me feeling pumped. Now I had superpowers. But Simone took advantage of that split second when I looked away. Her big arm came swinging down, slicing a 7-inch gash on the left side of my face. I felt my face open up. I grabbed my head and blood was all over my fingers. My face felt hot, like it was surrounded with heat. Bullets shot the gun in the air. Everybody started running. Even Simone bounced. Some bold people stood right there and kept watching.
"Aw, baby,"
Bullet said when he saw my face and the blood. He led me to the rental. He sat me down in the car. For seconds, he just kept saying,
"Damn, damn, damn."
Then, whoop, whoop, police sirens. I could see the red lights bouncing in the rearview mirror as the police cars ripped down the street. Bullet closed the passenger door and ran around to drive the car. Suckers in the crowd pointed our car out to the police. That wasn't as shocking as me watching Bullet walk past the driver's side, past the car, onto the sidewalk, and down the street like he had nothing to do with it. I opened the door on my side and tried to get out, but the cops was up on me.
Chapter 20.
2,555 days later, I checked the calendar on my wall. I had 2,920 days left to serve on a mandatory 15-year prison sentence. But this particular day was special. What made this day special was simply that it would be different than the rest. In 15 minutes, I would be walking out of that cell, down the corridor, and out the doors to attend my mother's funeral. She had died suddenly. Whatever that means, because she was dying all along. Some type of blood clot to the brain. And since mothers are so important, I was about to enjoy the only legitimate method of leaving this institution before a prisoner's time is served. Of course I will be chained at the feet and the wrists. I would be escorted around like a preschooler. I will be returned to this cell within hours. Then the routine will resume. But at the age of 25, in the 21st century, a small trip to the graveyard was about as much excitement as I was gonna get. Because I was gonna get a few hours outside of these walls, I was like a superstar. Everybody in here wanted me to be sure to tell them everything and everybody I saw outside as soon as I returned. Other than people's relatives, there was no real way for us to know what was going on outside. Even relatives were hard to come by. Who really wants to take an almost 8-hour trek out to this joint, which damn near sits in Canada? In my 7 years served, I never received one visit. I had to work several hustles to keep my commissary in livable condition. Then, of course, there were always the suckers who could be shook down if things got too bleak. Fighting didn't mean nothing to me now. There was no nervousness or nothing. I just did whatever was necessary. There ain't no special clothes or fashion in here. When I first came, I tried to make myself stand out the way I always did. But after a while, you'd figure, what the fuck for? You can't get no dick. I don't want no pussy. There's no one to impress here except those broke-down broads. Every now and then, I do hair for cigarettes or stamps or cookies. Most of the time, I keep my own hair braided. It's so long that bitches get jealous. I have to braid it, then roll it up, and tuck the ends under just not to have extra beef. But me, Natalie, Zakia, Shantae, and a bunch of Brooklyn girls got a crew up in here. We got a little name for ourselves. Even Simone's trying to be down with us for her own protection. She finally stopped blaming me for the death of her daughter, or at least she puts up a good front. But that's how it goes in here. There's all kinds of strange alliances. Everybody got drug-related charges stemming from their own little situations. But we wasn't nothing but the girlfriends to niggas moving weight. Sometimes when we be playing cards and listening to the radio, it's almost like we at home. I got enough family and friends on the inside. That's why I don't get no visits. Everybody's already here. As far as mail goes, I get letters from Santiago. That's it. We just always gonna be close like that. I still got the letters from that wild day in Brooklyn. That day plays over and over in my head. I calculated about 263 what-ifs. What if I had done this? What if I had done that? What really blew my mind was finally reading Santiago's letters while I was in the holding cell the night of my arrest. He admitted killing 2 dudes in prison. Both of them was my mother's brothers who used to work for him. But he broke it down so I could understand it. He just had a justifiable hatred for weak men, said there is nothing worse than a snitch. He told me he knew he was never coming home. He was right. It turned out he got 2 consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole. The crazy shit was, he gave me Dulce Tristemente's phone number in those letters. He told me to call her because he didn't want any more money wasted on his trial. He instructed her that I would be calling. She was to meet me and hand over $50,000. There was only one condition. I had to get my mother and place her in a rehab. He even gave me the number of the place. That's what he had wanted Midnight to take care of. After collecting the money, I had to promise to take care of my mom's after she came out of rehab, but I wasn't supposed to mention to Dulce what I was going to do with the cash. I called that bitch Dulce Collect from the jailhouse. Once she found out I was incarcerated, she changed her phone number and never passed off the money. That hoe was living lovely, and she was supposed to give me $50,000. Imagine how much she had stashed for herself. That's neither here nor there. I don't even think of getting out. I take one day at a time the 8 years I have left. I cross out each day as I survive it. I know I'm not guaranteed to see the next day or the outside ever again. It's not like I miss anybody other than Daddy anyway. 2 guards came to get me.
Santiago, let's go. Keep it moving.
I walked on the right side of the corridor, on the inside of the white line, the way we were trained to do. They took me to a room I had been in hundreds of times before. I stripped naked. Naked was nothing to me. I'd done seen thousands of breasts and hundreds of asses by this time. It was almost the same as seeing somebody fully clothed. In the beginning, I would try to cover myself up, but surprise searches in the middle of the night would have 60 chicks standing side by side, butt naked, then squatting for rectal inspection. We are naked in the wall-less shower, naked in the bing, naked, naked, naked. It meant nothing. Dressed in a jail jumpsuit and an army jacket with an officer in front of me and an officer in back of me, I proceeded down the hallway and out of a series of automated doors. My prison number was checked and rechecked at each checkpoint as if they didn't know who I was already. Hell, I'm here every day. Once outside of the building, I was placed in the van with bars in the windows and driven across the facility field where snipers and officers were stationed every couple of yards, 24 hours a day. When we passed the last checkpoint, my way of breathing changed. It might be hard to believe, but the air in prison is different. There's like 1,000 people sucking on the one little piece of fresh air until it turns stale. Then all you suck in is recycled oxygen and bad breath. In the van, I could feel the breeze. I could even smell the trees, the sap, and the flowers in the spring air as we drove down the road, headed to the airport. I stuck my face up against the window bars. The sun in my face was a luxury. Because of the way my cell was situated in the building, I rarely got any sunlight. The airplane offered more magazine selections than we were entitled to inside. The officers, who pretty much know my style, were relaxed. They had no reason not to be. I was chained to my airline seat. I peeped people trying to glance over at me. It wasn't easy for them to get a good view because I was seated in the middle chair in between 2 guards. I looked right back at them though. I was checking out shoes, watches, jewelry, dresses, just so I could tell the girls on the inside what was up. When food time came, I got filled up on the aroma alone. 3 choices of food were offered. That's 2 more choices that I'm used to having. My nose was so keen now, I knew what they were serving before the stewardess read off the selections. When we got to the city, I was placed in the prison vehicle. New York street sounds brought back memories of so many things. Mostly memories of freedom, being able to go to the store or the movies, getting fucked in the parked car by the river or in the grass or on the back stairs. My eyes checked the cars, the updated series and models. I noticed new hairdos, new buildings that weren't there before. As I rode in the back of one of those prison vehicles, the car with the metal gates separating the officers from the convicts, I saw people looking. It seemed like they were wondering what I did. I wanted to tell them nothing. I didn't do shit. I'm doing 15 years for having a bad attitude. That's what it boils down to. Sure, I rented a car that was being used to transport guns and cocaine, but they wasn't my drugs. They wasn't my guns. But since I was sitting in the car I rented with the stuff concealed in the teddy bears in the back seat, they considered me guilty. I'm a conspirator for renting the apartment me and Bullet lived in. I'm a conspirator 'cause guns discovered had bodies on them. People I didn't kill. Some of them I didn't even know. Now you tell me, how can I be involved in a conspiracy when nobody else involved in the conspiracy was convicted of nothing? They wanted Bullet, but I wouldn't help them. The name is Souljah. We don't snitch. Besides, even if I was a rat, it wouldn't matter. That nigga Bullet had it all figured out. His name wasn't on nothing. He wasn't caught doing nothing. Joey the doorman disappeared before the cops could get to him. There was nobody to testify against him about shit. When Natalie got sent up here 1 year after me for just riding in the car with a nigga with contraband, she told me the deal with Bullet. Now he has a bootleg tape business. He got all the rappers shook, be stealing their music and selling it on the streets before the record companies could. He's got a legit record store that he sells the tapes out of, and he's paid out the ass. The graveyard was located in Queens. When we pulled up, all I could see were the backs of about 4 men. As we came into closer range, I saw that 3 of the men were armed and wearing bulletproof vests. The 2 officers with me greeted the 3 officers with Souljah, my father, who I had not laid eyes on in 8 years. As soon as he turned to greet me, the tears came gushing out my eyes. After so many years with no tears at all, I couldn't stop them from falling. Souljah gestured slightly like he wanted to hug me, but his hands were chained, and so were mine.
"What's up, baby girl?"
he asked in a low tone. There was no privacy. Any emotion shared here was a group thing. We were being watched like a motion picture. "Hey, Daddy," I whispered, admiring how handsome he still looked. His tall frame, still sturdy, filled out and masculine.
"You're beautiful,"
he said, looking into my face in a concentrated way. I cried more because I knew how hideous the scar on my face was. I had stopped bothering with the mirror about 5 years ago.
"Even with the scar,"
he added, as if he could read my thoughts.
"You're still the prettiest girl in the world."
The old white priest cleared his throat. All 6 of us, me, Daddy, the guards, stepped up to the open casket to take the last look of Mama we would ever have. When Souljah looked in, he broke down. He broke down so bad he fell to his knees.
"Who is that? Who is that in the box? That's not my wife."
The guards prodded him to stand back up. Both Daddy and me tried to collect ourselves. Seconds later, some more people wandered over to where we are. We didn't know them. We assumed they were looking for another plot. As 2 of the guards moved to inquire, words were exchanged and they allowed them to pass on to our way. For the first time in many years, I became self-conscious. I felt ugly. I wanted to fix myself. I wanted to rip off these clothes and tear out these braids, comb my hair or something. It was midnight. He was tall, black, and regal. He looked more amazing than I remembered him being. Instantly, I felt jealous of the women with him. It was a piece of me that was dead that somehow came to life again. My eyes locked in on their faces for an immediate comparison. It's funny. The girls' faces were familiar, but I could not place them. Then an alarm went off within me. Lexi and Mercedes, the twins, my sisters. They had to be at least 15 years old now. They were so soft and delicate and different. Their eyes were different. Midnight approached Souljah first. He hugged him, which the guards allowed. Then he presented Lexi and Mercedes like they were strangers in an initial meeting. They talked to Daddy in the formal way, not like daughters. They spoke to me with sympathy and distance in their voices. Everything that needed to be said was not being said. Midnight did most of the talking. Like old times, he reported to Santiago on the status of things. It was about Santiago's daughters. I turned away from them. I didn't want Midnight looking at me. Just as the priest started going through the motions, a big black 600 Mercedes-Benz with black tinted windows pulled up on the pavement. It had been moving at a high speed, so it stopped with an abrupt jerk, alarming the guards who had already assumed the shooting position. They called out for the person to identify himself, but the music coming from the vehicle was so loud I was sure the people inside could not hear anything else. As the door opened, a model type of girl straight out of the pages of a high-fashion magazine stepped out of the car. Dressed in a white Versace slinky dress, odd color for a funeral, and white Dolce & Gabbana leather stilettos. She was obviously paid out the ass. I still couldn't see her face behind the sunglasses. Stepping carefully on the new soft spring grass, she came right over to me.
"What's up, Winter?"
She smiled wide and pulled off her sunglasses. It was Porsche, my sister. She came alone, pushing the whip it would take the U.S. president's salary to pay for. She hugged me, she kissed Daddy, she waved at Midnight, Lexi, Mercedes, and the two women with him. She stepped up and looked in my mother's coffin for all of 3 seconds. She stepped back, grabbed my arm, and leaned inward to talk privately with me. The guard signaled for her to back up.
"Damn!"
she screamed on the guard.
"Can I talk to my own sister without y'all being all up in my ass?"
So they let her talk. I couldn't believe how she chumped them.
"I wanted to come and check you, girl," she said, chomping on some bubble gum, "but you was just too far away. Tell me what you need, whatever it is. I can get it for you."
"Whose fucking whip is that?" I asked, amazed.
"Buster's,"
she responded. I raised my eyebrows like, "Who that?" "It's a long story," she said, waving her hand in the air like it wasn't nothing. "What up with Lexi and Mercedes?" I asked her, almost at a whisper.
"Midnight adopted them. They all religious and whatnot. They be wanting to tell somebody how to live their own motherfucking life. That's his wife right there. She ain't all that. I look better than she do."
"Who's the other girl?" I asked.
"She's a sister. They live out in Maryland. Midnight owns a barbershop, can you believe it?"
she said, chuckling. "So what do you do? Where do you live now?" I asked her cautiously.
"Oh, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We stay over by Central Park in Manhattan," she said casually.
"We who?" I asked.
"Me and Buster,"
she said. She said it like I should have known already. Oh. Now I took a good look at Porsche. She was perfect. Her hair was perfect. Her legs were perfect. Her clothes were perfect. But I wanted to warn her about certain things in life. Usually, I'm not at a loss for words, but I didn't feel good enough to tell her what I really thought. I knew what she would think.
"Winter, you're just saying that because you're in jail. Winter, you're just saying that because you're old. Winter, you're just saying that because you're ugly. Winter, you're just saying that because you're jealous."
So, instead of saying what I had learned, what was on the tip of my tongue, I said nothing at all. Hell, I'm not into meddling in other people's business. I definitely don't be making no speeches. Fuck it. She'll learn for herself. That's just the way it is.
We have reached the conclusion of this Sister Souljah mini-series on Ralph Reads. I would like, or rather love, to thank you, queens and kings, fellow royalty, for stopping by. You may connect with me via Facebook. Send a friend request to Ralph Anthony Garcia on Twitter and Instagram at RGMC2407. Send an email to rgmc2407@gmail.com, where if you would like to leave a small donation, please use the Zelle app or paypal.me/RGMC2407 or Cash App. My cash tag is RGMC2407. You may also connect with me on my other channel, RGMC, Ralph Garcia, Master of Ceremonies, and right here on TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you, and I love you like cooked food. I will see you kind folks with a brand new edition of Ralph Reads. Take this lesson as a blessing.